Myanmar's protests have been going on since February the 1st coup. So too, a swift, violent response from the nation's military rulers. But now, parts of the pro-democracy movement are fighting back and forming unexpected alliances to do so. The Karen National Defence Organisation, a pro-democracy group fighting for a semi-autonomous state in Myanmar's north, is helping train and equip the protesters for battle. From an undisclosed training site within Karen State, the organisation's commanding general told SBS World News hundreds are signing up.
After months of violent crackdowns, once peaceful pro-democracy activists are learning to shoot back. They've turned to the Karen National Defence Organisation, an ethnic armed group that's been fighting the Myanmar military for the last 7 decades for refuge and training. Student Nerdah Bo Mya was working on a cruise ship when the military coup ousted Aung San Suu Kyi from power.
We are still have to learn how to use a few weapons, and we have to learn how to shoot a sniper.
He's now signed up to become a sniper, he says, to protect fellow protesters from the authorities and wage guerrilla warfare. If the Burma army were shooting at protesters, would you shoot back?
Why we cannot shoot them back? If they shoot us, of course, we have to protect ourselves. So we have to fight back.
The Karen say they've killed around 200 Myanmar military soldiers in fighting.
The main objective is to unify all our strength together and fight against and get rid of the military regime as soon as possible.
In an interview with SBS, the group's commander, General Nerdah Bo Mya, says hundreds of members of the Civil Disobedience Movement, or CDM, have volunteered, with more signing up each day.
In our area, more than 500 CDM people. But also there are some other places, other military base camps where they're also being trained right now.
4 months into the coup, veteran ethnic armed groups are helping turn part of the pro-democracy movement into a volunteer army. What has been some of the things that the CDM volunteers have been telling you as to why they're joining?
Well, they told us they cannot stay anymore. They cannot, their people are dying, relatives are dying.
In a country once divided along ethnic lines, now those groups are united against a common enemy.
The most important thing is the people of Burma, all the ethnic groups, will gain their freedom that they deserve. They don't want to live under the boots of the military regime anymore.
Human Rights Watch predicts fighting will only intensify.
Really brought together the ethnic peoples and the protesters in the streets is that they realize they have a common enemy who is using lethal force, against any kind of protest.
Unless the international community intervenes.
This is sliding towards, greater chaos. It's sliding towards increased use of militias. It's sliding towards a situation where I think human rights abuses are going to significantly escalate across the country.
Pro-democracy groups say more than 850 civilians have been killed in demonstrations and 4,700 detained. According to the independent Karen human rights group, there have been 13 airstrikes, killing 18 and injuring 13 since the coup in February. Aung San Suu Kyi practiced non-violent protest in her 3-decade struggle for a more democratic Myanmar. Do you think Aung San Suu Kyi would support armed resistance?
We are fighting for our freedom, and we are fighting for democracy.
But for a growing group of the country's youth, peaceful resistance is no longer an option. Henry Zwartz, SBS World News.